Welcome back, YouTubers, to another WrestleMania review as part of our WrestleMania review series, the penultimate WrestleMania before we go on to WrestleMania 27, and that is WrestleMania 26. We are the British Fist. I am Mr. Parkin, not wearing the same clothes as I was for the WrestleMania 25 review, and this is NJ sitting next to me.
What's up?
As bright as ever, NJ is. Subscribe up above, like this video, and comment your thoughts down in the comment section. Really sorry, I had a frog in my throat there, NJ. Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit.
And make sure you connect in the link in the description box below.
Yeah, so WrestleMania 26. This one we had Cole and Lawler and Matt Striker on commentary.
Yeah, he must be so proud to make it to WrestleMania.
Yeah, at least you could say this. He's a bit better than Booker T. Well, at least Booker T shows energy in his commentary.
Sucker!
Sucker indeed, Fab Tam. So where do we really go on this WrestleMania? Should we just start off with the opener?
Yeah, because the dark match is not worth talking about this year.
No, not really. Yoshitatsu won a Battle Royal. And you see where Yoshitatsu is now. He's not really anywhere now, is he? We had Shomiz versus Morrison and Truth as our opening match for the Unified Tag Team titles. And if the dark match last year was indication as to how much Vince McMahon really didn't care about these titles, then this match was equally kind of, adhesive to that theory.
Last year, the way it was for the unification of the titles and the fact that we had good names in it, it's a shame that made it to the dark match, and this was actually the first match opening.
I mean, it was the opening match, and it wasn't the fact that it was an opening match. You could have, Shomiz versus Morrison and Truth could have been a pretty decent tag match if they gave it time, but they only gave it 3.5 minutes, and it was a very uninspiring opening to the card.
Yeah, I like the way it finished though, the quick swift punch down pin finish, but it's just too short and didn't really get my interest enough because of the length.
It's very interesting. You raised this to me during when we were watching the show. You said, "Who said that it was 9 years since any tag titles had changed at WrestleMania?" It's like you kind of knew what was going to happen when they mentioned that one, didn't you? The Showmiz were going to retain their titles. It was kind of just a meaningless opener, really, wasn't it?
Sadly, that is the case because with the tags, people enjoy a good tag match, and this just didn't deliver.
Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase. Oh my God. The end of Legacy?
That's what I'm label. The match of this is the death of Legacy, the tag team that I really liked because of the way they were a strong heel tag team. They were brought up with Orton. Very nicely done than this.
And I think at the time it was also the death of Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase. You've seen Ted DiBiase has never really gotten back to the point that he was at this point. And it's really taken a lot of work for Cody Rhodes, my boy, by the way. It's really taken a lot of work for WWE to get Cody Rhodes back at the level he really should be at.
And that's the sad thing, because Cody Rhodes, yes, he should have flown from this and went on to a bigger thing. But with me, in this match, Ted DiBiase, yes, he was great on mic, a strong heel, so he had a great build because of Legacy. Yep. And then he just didn't progress from this, which I thought was a shame, because he was a member of Legacy that I personally watched out for.
I mean, you expected him to go a lot further than Rhodes, but look what's happened now. It's very strange, isn't it, how things go? And also, this was the pinnacle of Orton's face turn, and we all know what happened to that in 2010. He got particularly very boring, didn't he? So it seemed to me, Ted DiBiase was worse off because of this. Cody Rhodes was worse off because of this, and Orton ended up worse off because of this.
Well, with Orton, obviously, yeah, the fans still behind him no matter what happened to him.
Course, yeah.
But his career, he turned to a face, and like last year, we praised him as a heel, and sadly, this was a creation of him being a face, and then obviously you can see our views from our past Raw, SmackDowns, and other pay-per-view reviews.
And it just pretty much buried Cody and Ted, didn't it, really? I mean, these are two younger guys that are really going to make it in the company, and it just seemed like Orton was just out for himself and never was... I mean, you had them on the same team, and Orton couldn't beat them when they were on the same team, even though they turned on each other. Just ridiculous.
Yes, there was moments in the match where they would work together and they turned on each other, and I wouldn't say I was enjoying this match because obviously Orton dominated, even though it was meant to be more about the pushing of the younger talent.
Well, they look like chumps essentially, and that was essentially why this match is bad, and no one was any better off because of it. And we move on to the next match. Oh God, again, not a good start to this WrestleMania. You had Kane, Swagger, Shelton Benjamin, Matt Hardy, Evan Bourne, Dolph Ziggler, Christian, Drew McIntyre, who was the IC champ, in the Money in the Bank ladder match. And this is one of many problems with this Money in the Bank. There were way too many people in this one, weren't there? Way too many people.
Because that's the thing, when it comes to Money in the Bank, yes, it's got all the good spots because it's a ladder match, but when there's too many wrestlers there, it's hard to keep your eye on what's going on and to give each wrestler in the match a push.
Exactly, because Drew McIntyre didn't stand out in this, Dolph Ziggler didn't stand out in this, Christian barely did anything, Evan Bourne had one spot, Matt Hardy, no one really stood out in this. And it's just it's just funny that the one person who did pretty much fuck all in this match was Jack Swagger, and he won the Money in the Bank. Jack fucking Swagger. Oh my God, was this guy built to win Money in the Bank? You know, why did Jack Swagger, who spent 3 minutes unhooking the belt, pretty much, why did the fuck did they give Jack Swagger the Money in the Bank? And it just showed afterwards why he didn't deserve to win it after they booked him.
That's sad, because during this Money in the Bank, there was times when I thought, oh, this guy, like Drew McIntyre, he didn't do brilliantly, but he was a part of it. I thought,
Shelton
this could have been a push. Shelton Benjamin. People who have been in numerous Money in the Banks, they've been in numerous Money in the Banks, but never won.
Yeah.
They gave it to Jack Swagger, his first Money in the Bank, I think, and this happens.
Just Swagger winning, oh my God. Did they really think this guy was a World Championship? And they even like dubbed him the future. It was like, for fuck's sake. And it's funny that 2010 was also the year they had the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and they gave it to Miz and Kane, two people who are much more deserving of Money in the Bank from past credentials, and Miz being a future superstar, as we know, even though he's not going to be involved in the WrestleMania card, most likely now.
No, and that's sad, because with Money in the Bank, as we're going to say, this was the last one to appear at WrestleMania, even though it's meant to appear at 28, but we all know what happened there. And it's just sad that the last Money in the Bank at WrestleMania just
had Swagger
didn't deliver. Yeah.
So should we move on?
Please.
Hall of Fame. We had Stu Hart, legend. Gorgeous George, also could be considered a legend. We had Teddy DiBiase Sr., and that was really it, wasn't it? The Hall of Fame wasn't great, in my opinion. Like, the people there.
No, and I like with Hall of Fame, we do touch upon it in other WrestleMania reviews. We do want it to be the best, but this one, yes, it had big names. No big names that we can say he really deserved it. Oh, that's a good moment for him. Not really. But Ted DiBiase, the way he...
Everybody has a price.
Yeah, that was... I enjoyed seeing that and having that, but the rest, I just don't have much to say.
Just got to say this, Ted DiBiase, don't sell your $1 million belt, and don't sell your Hall of Fame ring, because it is it's worth a lot in memories there, brother. Next match we got was Triple H versus Sheamus, and the one thing I will point out here is the fact that you had Sheamus, who won the title from Cena in TLC 2009, way too early. He wasn't built up to win it. And you could see this guy in Sheamus who was going to... I mean, we've now seen him turn into a babyface, and he should win the belt at WrestleMania. But here, you saw like a Sheamus that really wasn't quite ready. He really wasn't built up enough yet. And since he won the championship, he wasn't really booked very well. He got a DQ victory against Orton, even though he was supposed to be the dominant heel. Triple H pinned him in the Elimination Chamber. And then it led to this. Now, these two... The main reason Sheamus got his push was because of Triple H. So it's no surprise that they had a feud at some point. It was I thought it was done to try and put Sheamus over, but...
Well, Triple H really liked this guy, respect him, gave him this WrestleMania match. And Triple H, the video package, the way he described that, he started off as not the best wrestler. He faced someone big, I think Old Warrior.
Yeah, he faced him and got squashed in 90 seconds.
So they explained that's what's going to put WrestleMania, and he has to scratch himself to be the top. And Sheamus is given this match to get his way to the top.
Yeah.
And at my personal opinion, I'm glad that Triple H will not just come up, but the commentator was even saying it. Sheamus really weren't ready or built up for the win.
I mean, it's one of the things you can argue whether Sheamus, the younger guy, should have got the win, or... I mean, the match itself was decent, got 12 minutes. I don't think it really accomplished what it was supposed to accomplish, mainly because I get the whole thing that Triple H can kick out of Sheamus' finisher, but then Sheamus can't kick out of the pedigree, and it's kind of like, well, is there really a level playing field there? Did you really make it seem as if Sheamus was that viable?
But just like last year, we speak about Backlash, and now this Backlash, or this following pay-per-view, Sheamus actually got the win instead of at the WrestleMania.
And he took Triple H out. And I do think Sheamus should have got the win at WrestleMania, personally, just that defining victory. But it can be argued, especially when you're sitting next to a Triple H mark. But anyway, we'll move on to the next match. CM Punk with Straight Edge Society versus Rey Mysterio. If Punk won, Rey would have to join the Straight Edge Society. Great heel gimmick. After he won Money in the Bank last year, CM Punk's heel gimmick just skyrocketed, didn't it? Especially with the Straight Edge Society stuff.
Straight Edge Society was definitely a factional group that actually stood out and made people question, look at CM Punk, because obviously he was the man in this.
Main man, yeah.
But the whole, the stipulation for this, if Punk and Rey joined, I thought she would just have a good match of Punk wanting to beat Rey or Rey wanting to beat Punk, something like that.
I mean, these two, they had a good feud. I mean, these two worked well in the ring together. They had very good in-ring chemistry. We saw that at Capital Punishment, which was a shit pay-per-view. This was a great match at Capital Punishment, even though it didn't have too much meaning. But it was I mean, the action was good. It's just only got 6.5 minutes. And I always wonder, with a stipulation like that, if Punk wins, Rey would have to join the Straight Edge Society. You need to give this kind of thing more time, especially with the stipulation.
With Rey Mysterio being the big wrestler he is, and Punk obviously getting the big push in that, you do need to give them both more time so they can actually put on a decent match. I'm not saying the back match was bad, But it's just with these two, deserve more time.
Especially at WrestleMania, where you're going to be really showcasing these guys. And Ray wins the match. I just don't understand why it was so short. I mean, these guys had they put on a good match for 6.5 minutes, but it wasn't able to go that extra level because they didn't give it enough time.
No, but the good thing about this again, it did progress on after this to bigger things.
Over the limits. That was a great match between them two, over the limits. Should we move on then?
Yeah.
Got 10 matches on this card, by the way. Oof. Vince McMahon versus Bret Hart. Oh my god. I must admit, I hadn't seen this match until I watched WrestleMania before we did this review, and NJ was saying how bad it was, and my god. Let's go through some of the build first. This was based off the Montreal Screwjob and their past history. It was kind of written there, wasn't it, with Vince screwing Vince and Bret screwing Bret and all that kind of stuff. And you had Vince McMahon buying members of the Hart family as lumberjacks, but as soon as the match starts, they kind of double cross him, and the Harts double cross McMahon, and you kind of get this whole feeling that this is going to be Bret's night, and
Well, the match itself, it makes sense because we had him making up with Shawn Michaels, and then
him making up with Vince,
needing to get his revenge with Vince, and he went through this whole injury angle and all that to get this match, and it actually happened, and I kind of wish the match didn't happen.
I mean, Bret versus Vince, it's kind of like, you see all these matches with Vince, like Hogan, Shawn Michaels, you see all those kind of matches, Shane. You think to yourself, this has everything that needed to be, including Bill, but none of them could work in the ring. Bret Hart couldn't work in the ring, and it ended up just being Bret Hart beating down on Vince McMahon for 10 minutes, and it was kind of like, oh my god, that's it, that's all, just a beat down, chair shot, crowbar shot.
That's the thing. The start of the match was basically the lumberjack attacking Vince, weakening him down, then in the ring, it was just weapon usage, then the sharpshooter, and I just thought, this match didn't do as much as Vince's past matches did, and it really disappointed me, because obviously this match was meant to be the ending of the feud between Hart and McMahon.
A 15-year-long feud as well.
That's another point.
Just really, really, really disappointing. Just neither of them two were working. It didn't help the storyline very much, so we're just going to move on from that. Edge versus Jericho for the World Heavyweight Championship. Edge won the Royal Rumble. He was injured. He came back at the Rumble, won the Royal Rumble. And then Jericho won the title at Elimination Chamber. And these two were former tag team champions. And you had the whole thing with Jericho saying that, oh, thank you, Edge, for getting injured so I could move on into better things. And that was what this whole feud was going down from. And, it was another example of a Royal Rumble winner not winning at WrestleMania.
That is the sad trend that we're getting now. But with this match, I like how it's going because we have two good wrestlers who can put on a good match for Mania. But when it comes to the Mania match, obviously you had the decision: do you want Edge, who's came back from an injury, wanted to prove the doctors want that he can wrestle with his injury, or do you want to give Jericho the win, who is our champion?
Yeah, especially with Swagger, who just won the Money in the Bank being a heel, you'd expect Edge to probably win this match. But I mean, the match itself, it was good. It was a good match. Just that I didn't feel this was their best, the match I really expected to see at WrestleMania. It wasn't like a show-stealing match, which I really expected from these two. I think that might have had a little bit to do with Edge's injury. I'm not really sure. It was a good match, just not at the level I really thought it would be. And yeah, you had the whole spear thing as well, didn't you? With Jericho always getting speared. That was a good addition to the storyline, wasn't it?
Spear versus spear, yes. But the ending of the match, it kind of went down to the belt shot and then the code breaker. It kind of went flat, but I'm glad he kicked out the belt shot to make the match get a proper finish. But the match didn't thrill me.
It got plenty of time. I mean, it got plenty of time. It's just that it didn't really give me that real sense of this is a great match. Well, I really expected it to be from Edge and Jericho, two great workers. Then we had that post-match angle with it looked like a heel Edge spearing Jericho through the barricade. Not really sure what was going on there, as I don't really remember too much of what happened after WrestleMania, but it looked like Edge turned heel here.
Well, he did. I think he went on and continued with the feud with Jericho for a bit.
He had a steel cage match with him at Extreme Rules.
Yeah, so it did go on, and then I think that's when Edge actually won and got his championship. But again, it's a shame it didn't happen at WrestleMania, but I'm glad that they continued it to give Edge the win that he needed after his injury. And
then the World Heavyweight Championship picture just took a downfall because then you had Swagger winning it, and it all just seemed to go downhill from there. But whatever. Well, speaking of downhill, we had a 5-on-5 Divas match. Eve Torres, Beth Phoenix, Gail Kim, and Kelly and Mickie James versus Vicky, Michelle McCool, Layla Maurice, and Alicia Fox. Then we had Batista versus John Cena for the WWE title. Two big stars for the company. You could argue, the two biggest stars of the sort of PG/post 2005 era in the WWE.
That's true. And with this, I've got two views. I'm going to give my two views. We had Batista saying that he should be the face of the company because John Cena's getting all that, doesn't really deserve it and that. The match, I'm two-sided because, yes, John Cena's, as the W know it, the face of the company and all that. But it's just a shame that it showed you that Batista has become the dominant person in the ring against Cena. But then after this, it just went on to John Cena winning.
Because he was leaving, wasn't he?
It's just sad that Batista couldn't get victory over John Cena before he left.
He beat him at SummerSlam 2008, and that was the right decision, in my opinion. Batista was always the better wrestler, in my opinion, than Cena, of course. But, I mean, you had the two biggest stars at the time. This was a match made in sort of heaven, I guess, for this era. Batista, the sort of top guy on SmackDown at the time, versus Cena, the top guy on Raw. And you just had those two top guys colliding. Batista was a heel, and God, was he good as a heel. He was awesome as a heel. And to be honest with you, if Shawn Michaels and Taker wasn't the main event, and we didn't have that thing, this would have been the main event, wouldn't it? Let's face it, two biggest stars. What more could you ask for a main event if it wasn't for Shawn Michaels and Taker this year?
That is true, because obviously with this match, yes, they've had a few building on before, like we saw the Rumble, how that led on to and all that.
Elimination Chamber title win.
So it did build up, so it got me really interested in this, but just like most of Cena feuds, it's mainly about him.
Pretty much, yeah.
And this feud, as much as it did show you Batista, whenever you were in the ring with me, something bad happens, but the feud was based about Cena.
Yeah, I mean, essentially you got to the point where Batista didn't like the direction WWE were going in, so he wanted to leave, and he ended up leaving after Cena beat him over the limits. But, you know, it's really funny in this match. Cena gets booed, and Batista gets cheered, and it's like, you know, it's the usual dynamic of a Cena match, isn't it? Cena wins by submission. Like, Cena win by submission, come on. But it was still, I thought it was still a good match between these two because of the star power involved in there and the feud they built up. You know, especially Batista. Even though Batista didn't win and Cena won the title, it was still I still thought it was a good match.
I do give it that because there was many times where Batista did look like a fierce animal. It's just how it flowed after this, with it being all about Cena, just got ridiculous, not true what we wanted.
But Batista was on the way out, so Cena had to win, really, essentially.
I still think he could have got a defining win before he left over Cena.
But it wouldn't have mattered because he would have left by then.
I know, but still.
And, you know, that's just my business brain kicking in there. But we'll move on to the main event because this is essentially what this WrestleMania is remembered for. If I was going to watch this WrestleMania again, this is essentially the match I would watch. The one match I would watch. Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker in a streak versus career match. Thank God they got the main event right this time because WrestleMania 25 really did, you know, nothing could follow it. But this was the main event and this was the right thing to have with the main event, especially with the whole streak versus career thing in there. Correct booking decision, finally, by Vince McMahon to put something like this in the main event over his title.
Well, comparing this one to last year, this one did have the whole stipulation of it being Shawn Michaels' last match, so it did have the importance over last year. But still, I'm glad this got the main event.
Yeah, I mean, again, the story pretty much writes itself. Rematch from last year, streak versus career. I didn't think the match was as good. It only got 24 minutes. It wasn't as good as last year as a wrestling match. But all the drama and emotion with it being streak versus career just really, you know, really filled up that void. It was still a great main event.
Yeah, because the thing before this is that Taker weren't going to give him this match. He kept saying no, and then HBK kept on praising for this match. Got it, got the match, and the match delivered in what it was needed to. But it just weren't as good as last year. And we're always going to say this: last year was better than this.
Yeah, and it should have been the main event. But this year's was the main event. But the drama was the reason why it was the main event. And because of the drama, it did lift it up to that level. And I still think, even though it wasn't as good of a match, the drama and everything still does lift it to that level. And, you know, Shawn Michaels pretty much ended his career on a massive high, didn't he? Because he had a great WrestleMania streak, didn't he, in terms of the quality of his matches. And he ended his career on a massive high.
That's true. In a way, he built himself up to face the best at his last WrestleMania match. So I like the way they gave Shawn Michaels what he deserved, which was great matches against The Undertaker. Not a win, though, but still two defining big matches at WrestleMania.
That moment was awesome in the match, wasn't it? When you had Shawn Michaels climbing up Undertaker and he does that, and then Undertaker, he did like the highest I've ever seen him get on a tombstone, and he made sure that was Shawn Michaels' last tombstone he took. And you know, again, the emotion and everything really does help this match a lot, and the writing was on the wall for this match. Taker extends his streak, and Shawn Michaels really ends his career on a massive high, and they respect each other after the match, and who can blame them? They're both greats in the business.
The thing is, I'm going to raise my monster again for this match and to HBK, who's now left.
Yes. So a very, very good main event. The crowd are really into it. The crowd were at its hottest for this match, and you had Cena and Batista before the main event, and then this, which was really always gonna outdo that because of the people in it and the story involved, and that is essentially what makes this match so good. The story is pinnacle.
But it weren't just what made the match good, the pay-per-view good, because obviously we lacked a really good WrestleMania, and it was the main events that actually delivered and made this the pay-per-view that we can give good points.
And usually if the main event is good, it generally leaves you with a very nice taste in your mouth in terms of the WrestleMania. I mean, overall thoughts, I can't help but feel this WrestleMania really didn't do what it was supposed to do, and it was tad disappointing. I mean, it opened up really badly, in my opinion.
Well, this is what I'm going to say. Yes, we're going to review WrestleMania 27 next, but what I'm going to say is that up to 25, the WrestleManias did lack what was big in the wrestling business. This one, yes, it had matches that stood out, but just didn't deliver in a strong way to keep us entertained.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that reason is mainly because WWE lost a lot of star power. They lost Shawn Michaels, they lost Jericho, especially going into 27, and that really told a WrestleMania 27, which we will be watching next. I just don't think this WrestleMania really did what it was supposed to do. The opener was Orton, Kroos, and DiBiase really didn't do that well. Swagger winning the Money in the Bank, come on. Triple H, Sheamus, it can be argued. CM Punk, Rey Mysterio give a solid yet short match. Vince versus Brett. Edge and Jericho really wasn't everything I expected it to be. Batista, John Cena was a good match, and and Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, really great way to close the show. Just there wasn't too much there really to make this WrestleMania really special, like a WrestleMania 19 or a 17 or a 14 or a 21.
No, and like we said, the resemblance from last year, the better matches or the better results came after the WrestleManias. Yeah. So all I can say is, I liked how it finished, but not the start to the end.
Yeah, I mean, it finished really well, but the build up to it wasn't great, and it's no surprise the crowd were really on its feet for the last two matches. Because in my opinion, they're probably the best two matches they got on the card, most meaningful matches. So 26 really disappointed me. I don't really think, especially in making new stars, didn't really do that very well. Triple H, Sheamus, Swagger really failed. CM Punk and Rey really didn't do too much, and I don't think it did really all it needed to do for the WWE, and it really did disappoint. I mean, I'll give this like a C-. I really didn't think it had some good moments in it, but even Shawn Michaels and Undertaker really can't up this grade too much for me.
Well, if I was to give it a grade, I'm going to be a bit more generous. I'm going to lean towards more of a C, because the main events saved it from getting towards a C-, so it's C for me.
It didn't have the lack of great feuds and stuff that 25 did or 24 did, in my opinion. So it gets a C- from me, it gets a C from NJ. So more importantly, give us your thoughts on this WrestleMania, as this is the penultimate WrestleMania before we go on to WrestleMania 27. Get your comments on that comment section below. WrestleMania 27 will be up on Wednesday, and we'll be giving like a sort of review / more of a historical look at at 27 and the year building to this year, and drawing comparisons between the two and how this led to this and whatever.
So that's the thing, when we talk about WrestleMania 27, from what we say, you're going to get more of an idea on how we feel about 28.
Because we've already reviewed the show, so there's no point in reviewing it. We might as well just give a sort of historical standpoint thing on
That's
it.
correct.
Like we've done with previous WrestleManias, just without all the review stuff. So it might be a long video, but we will promise to give you as much insight as we can, as we have lived throughout the whole of 2011 and 2012. WWE. But anyway, give your thoughts on this WrestleMania down in the comments below. Concentrate on the present, and then when we get to 27, you can concentrate on that too. So there we go. That's been it from me, Mr. Parkin, and this guy sitting next to me, NJ, who's going to do the outro after he says his little catchphrase.
People, you know what I'm going to say? What's up? Now, people, 26 is over. We gave our thoughts. 27 is going to be a lot different to our Mania reviews that we've given. Please share your thoughts about 26 in the comments section below. And all I can say now, people, is thank you very much for watching this WrestleMania review with us, the British Fist, from Mr. Parkin and me, NJ. Till next time, people. Goodbye.